Hello everybody, this is Brad Reed. I'm a real life trader. I'm here reminding you to be good, and by good I mean get out of debt, achieve your financial dreams, and give generously to your community. Thank you guys for watching this video. Today we're going to talk about the budget. And the budget is clearly the most important money management tool, and it is the third leg of our financial fundamentals stool that we need before we get going and really start crushing the getting out of debt and winning with the money. The budget is an essential tool. You got to have a budget. This video is likely the most important one on the list. Maybe investing for retirement, a very close second. Before I get any further, the expensive lawyers out in California want me to remind you that this is a broad-based education with applying broad-based concepts. If you need individualized or specific education or specific advice, that's the word I'm looking for. If you need specific advice for your specific and personal situation, please seek a competent individual in your area. All right, once again, the takeaways from the whole financial fundamentals series are I added this one, make all financial decisions together. So if you're married, you need to do this with your spouse. If you have conjoined finances with anyone, you need to make these decisions together. That is a crucial one to be successful. Success equals opportunity plus preparedness. If you want to be successful, you need to prepare to be successful. It does not just happen. And the budget is a way to be prepared. The budget is also a plan to be successful, and you got to have a plan if you're going to be prepared. Just like all real life traders have a plan for every stock trade, you need to have a plan for every paycheck, and you definitely need to have a plan for your retirement. A very, very crucial piece to be successful with your money is to spend less than you earn. And a budget is a crucial way to accomplish that. And then you can retire as soon as you are able to spend less money than your savings grow with an inflation factor in there. And a budget is very, very crucial, again, for achieving retirement. So cool, those are the takeaways. And again, a budget is one of, if not the most important part of this. Again, building the third leg of our financial necessity tool here. Let's see. So these are all the videos that we have, and then over here, if you're new to real life trading, you can go get stock reviews with free trade setups. You can get free educational videos on how to become a stock trader, whether you are a beginner to seasoned pro, a long-term investor, or if you want to day trade options, we got something for just about everyone. There's a whole lot of free articles and videos. Go check those out. And of course, this financial fundamental series is, we are including those in those free videos. Cool. All right, let's get going. First of all, one thing I guess I should have put up here is who needs a budget? And I was actually just had lunch with my wife, and we were kind of talking about it. And we decided that the only person that needs a budget is if you want to be successful with your money. Either now or in the future. If you are okay with being absolutely financially devastated, then you probably don't need a budget. But if you wish to be successful with your money now or in the future, you do need a budget. Kind of like not having a budget is kind of like going through college with no report cards and no feedback from your professors. You know, 4 or 5 years later, you go to a certain place at a certain time, and maybe you're wearing a funny outfit, and then they let you know if you're able to graduate or not. But if you're not able to graduate, you got to go back and retake some classes, but you don't know which classes you got to retake. So how do you graduate if you don't do that? And that's kind of, it's kind of the same thing. If you don't have a budget, how do you know you're going to win with money or not? Now, I guess the pitfall of my analogy there is you can always retake a class, but you can never retake a party. I mean, you can never retake retirement, right? Most people get one shot at retirement. I guess you can go back to work, you can pick up new jobs, you can do other things, but if you retire and then 10, 15 years later, you decide that, not quite what we had hoped for, what are you supposed to do? So a budget is a crucial tool to get you towards the retirement that you want, the retirement that you dream of. And during retirement, a budget is absolutely vital so that you can understand where your spending is, how your spending is, and any changes that you have to make. My wife watches some of those Kardashian shows, and she was telling me the other day, that even some of the Kardashian kids, they each have a budget, and supposedly they each have like an accountant that kind of follows them around and adds up everything that they spend, and they each have a certain amount that they're able to spend. And but the point is that you will never ever be able to out earn your spending. You will always be able to spend more money than you can ever make. The point is, everybody needs a budget. Even if you are filthy rich, you still need a budget, because as soon as you buy the most expensive thing on the planet, someone's going to make something else that's even more expensive. 90% of people that win the lottery file bankruptcy after 1 year because they are able to spend it all. Even those folks that are winning the $200, $300, $600 million, yes, in fact, they do. They do. In fact, in reality, they can spend it all. So everyone needs a budget. Even the Kardashians have a budget. Even Congress has a budget. Now, you can tell the Kardashians are very successful with their money, and Congress is not successful with money, probably because the Kardashians actually use their budget. David Barron has a great analogy. It says, a budget is like the Garmin for your money. It's like the GPS for your money. It helps you get to where you want to go with your money. Awesome. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. All right, so these are the things that we're going to talk about in this video. Why do we need a budget? What is a budget? How do we create it? And how do we use a budget after we create one? I am going to attempt, after this video, there's going to be a part 2. So if you're watching part 1 on this in YouTube, look down in the description box. I'm going to put a link to a second part, and I'm actually going to go into Microsoft Excel, and I'm going to attempt to build a budget live on video so that you guys can watch it, and you'll see me probably mess up a whole bunch, but at any rate, we'll get it done. So this is part 1. Be sure you look for part 2. Why do we need a budget? You need a plan to make your money work, to make your money work for you. If at the beginning of the month you get some paychecks, but you really don't know where the money's going to go, how are you going to be sure you get all your bills paid? How are you going to be sure that that you get money into retirement, or kids' college, or paying off the house, or paying down your credit cards? I remember one thing that I used to do that was horrible. I would, maybe I was going to sell something, or maybe I was getting my bonus check, or for some reason I was going to get maybe, let's just say, an extra $200 in the month. Well, and if I didn't have a budget, I would say, hey, you know what? I got an extra $200 coming in. I'm going to go have sushi with my friends. And then I would, a few days later, hey, I remember I'm going to have about $200 extra. I'm going to go buy a new tennis racket. And then a little bit later, hey, I've got a, but the point is that I would spend that $200 over and over and over again, and then it would be gone. And it wouldn't just be gone, but I'd be in debt even though I was having extra money because I didn't have a plan to make the money work. Imagine a football team, and they get in the huddle and say, okay, this time we're going to play football. Everyone just kind of go and do football stuff. Ready, set, hike, right? That's not how a football team works, certainly not a professional football team. Before they hike the ball, everybody knows what their assignment is. Everybody knows where they're going to go, where they're going to run, what they're going to catch, who they're going to block. Everybody knows before the hike happens. That's what a budget needs to do for you. Before you get that paycheck, you need to have a plan for where every single dollar is going to go. Budget is also good for monitoring how your money is working. So while you are in the month or in the pay period or whatever it is, you can use a budget to say, hey, you know what? I'm spending too much money on sushi, or I'm spending too much money on t-shirts, or whatever it is. You can use the budget to understand how things were going. Actually, our electric bill just came in, and it was a lot higher than we had expected. So because we have a budget, we say, okay, so we got to cut back on some of these other things that are, the more nice to haves. But we have that awareness because we have a budget. Imagine driving a car, or in fact, I used to race cars, and And imagine driving a race car without having any kind of dashboard. You don't know the engine temperature. You don't know the speedometer, how fast you're going. You don't know how the engine is operating. And one thing that I used to be concerned with when I was racing cars out in Texas in the summer when it's 102 degrees outside and it's 110, 120 degrees on the track was the temperature of the oil. I learned the hard way that when the oil temperature gets over about 400 degrees, 420, that the transmission starts not working so good. And that was expensive. But then I remembered I was racing another car and it didn't have an oil temperature gauge. And I'm sitting there going around the racetrack thinking, how hot's my oil? How's my transmission doing? And it was, I'm not going to say it was scary, but it was a little bit unnerving. So the budget helps you understand how your car is performing, how your money is performing for you while you're working during the month while everything's going on. Another thing a budget does for you, it allows you to review, reflect, adjust, and improve. Kind of like a judge's scoring sheet at the end of a competition. At the end of each month, you can take a look at your budget, or at the end of each pay period, you take a look at your budget and say, how do we do? Well, we put the right amount of money toward mortgage. We got that done. We got all our bills paid. We got our retirement payment put in place, and we had an extra $300 left over. High five, let's go celebrate, go out to dinner, and we'll put the rest in savings. But without the budget, you will not know how you did, so you will not know of any changes that you need to make. I know there's times where we've sat down at the end of the budget and says, holy smokes, we went over. So in this next month, we're not going out to dinner at all. We're just going to eat at home the whole time. So there's the budget, again, is the essential tool for being successful with money. Well, what is a budget? It's a budget to do those things we just talked about. But basically, you make a list of all your incomes and all your expenses. Then that helps you figure out if you're going to be positive or negative for that pay period or that month. You track which expenses you have paid and which you have not yet paid. And you track what those expenses are. And if they were as much as you planned or less than you planned or more than you were planned, and you track them. And then at the end, you evaluate how well you controlled your money, or if your money controlled you. Have you ever had one of those months where you're just like, oh my gosh, I hope that next paycheck comes soon, because I'm not sure if I have enough money to last until the next paycheck comes. I'm sure we've all felt that. Well, if you have felt that, you probably don't have a good enough budget, or you're not sticking to your budget if you have one. All right, before you create a budget, the number one rule is to go get your spouse or go get your partner. Because if you make a budget by yourself and then try and tell your spouse what he or she should be doing with his or her money, that's not going to go over so well. I strongly recommend you create the budget with your spouse, with your partner, with your legally joined financial partner. Very, very important. Have I said this enough? Have I said this a few times? Don't do a budget without the support, approval of your spouse or partner. All right, the first step you want to do is you want to make a list of all of your incomes. The second step you want to do is list your expenses. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because sometimes we don't always know what our expenses are going to be in any given month or pay period. So I like to start with the exact amounts, the things that I know. Like, I know how much I'm putting each month towards retirement. I know how much my mortgage is supposed to be. I know how much my cell phone is going to be. I know how much we're donating each month. I know what the daycare bill is going to be. And I've got a certain set of expenses we have every month that I know exactly how much they're going to be. So I list those first. The second one are the variable one-time payments. I don't know exactly how much they're going to be, but I'm in the ballpark. Some, things like the electric bill, the water bill, the gas bill, some other utilities. These, they come once in the month, and sure, the amount changes a little bit, but I kind of know what they are. One thing, and here's a tip that I'm not sure is in the PowerPoint. One tip that I started doing is I grouped our electric bill and our gas bill together. Because in the summer months, when we run the air conditioner, the electricity bill is higher, but the gas bill is lower. In the winter months, the electric bill is lower, but the gas bill is higher. So when I'm doing my budget, I usually add those two together, and the two of those together usually are pretty consistent month to month to month throughout the entire course of the year. All right, so after the variable one-time payments, I do the variable multiple payments. So every time we go to the grocery store, you know, we'll spend $60 here, $80 here, $120 over there. We'll do that multiple times through the month. And, you know, so we have a category for groceries. Every time we fill up the car with gasoline or go to a restaurant, we don't know how much it's going to be. And we usually do that multiple times in a month. And then I have a bucket that we do for longer term large payments. So the house taxes, we do those twice a year. Car registrations, we have 2 cars and those come in different months. We have a number of different insurances. We have house insurance, we have car insurance, and we have life insurance bills that we have to pay. And each of these different categories, or each of these different items in this category of longer term large payments, they're usually pretty significant. And if you don't plan for them, one of these things that hits you in a month and you're not prepared for it can really wreck your budget for the month. So you definitely want to get these on a budget. In our household, we have a 12-month budget. So every December, I create a budget for the rest of the following year, and then Jenny and I go over it and we say, look, last year this is how much we spent on groceries, this is how much we spent on gasoline, this is how much we spent between the electric bill and gas bill, how much do we want to allocate going forward, and we do the math and we make sure we have enough for the retirement payment and everything that we need, blah, blah, blah. But because of that, we can put the house taxes in a certain month, we can put the car registrations in a certain month. And then I actually took it one step further, and I created our own escrow account. So I know how much the house taxes are going to be. I know how much the car registrations are going to be. I know how much all the different insurances are going to be. I add all those up, divide by 12, and I make one payment into a savings account every single month to pay for those things. And it comes out to be about a little over $200 each month. Or no, excuse me, twice a month. So about $400 each month, I put a chunk of money, a calculated chunk of money into a separate savings account. And then when the house taxes come due, there's enough money in there, I can go pay for it. When the car registrations come due, there's enough money in there, I can go do that. There's insurance, enough money in there to pay the insurance bills, because every single month I put a calculated amount into that, I'm going to call it our own escrow account. And by putting a little bit of money in there every month, whenever these expenses come due, I've already budgeted for them and I can pay them. So there's another little tip or trick. So after you've listed all of your expenses, take a guess as to how much they're going to be and write that down. And then once you've done your budget, celebrate. It's a big accomplishment to get a budget done. Just to put it down on paper or on Excel, or there's a number of applications I'm going to talk about that where you can do a budget. Once you just get that done, that is a huge, huge step towards becoming successful with your money. So, you know, acknowledge that, celebrate. Now comes the next step. Using your budget. Dun, 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 scary music, but it's not that bad. First of all, folks, if this is your first time using a budget, get ready for it to take 3 to 6 months to get good at it. The first month, you're going to find all kinds of stuff you never really planned for on your budget, and you're going to have to go back and add categories, and you're going to say, we put too much money over here and not enough money over there, and you're going to have to make a lot of changes. In the second month, there'll be a few more changes. By about the third month, you should be getting pretty close to it. And then somewhere around month 4, 5, and 6, you're going to get whacked with one of those big things that you weren't expecting. Maybe a tuition payment or an insurance payment that you hadn't properly allocated for. So the point is learning how to do a budget, learning how to create it, learning how to use it is a lifelong process. The first 3 months, I'm telling you now, they're going to be rough. So prepare for them to be rough. Forgive yourself and be ready to adjust your budget as it goes on. The second step to using a budget is track every income and every expense. Every one. So one thing that I do is every time I buy something, I just stuff a receipt in my pocket or I stick it in a certain place in my wallet. Then at the end of the day, I empty my pocket, I empty my wallet, and I log every single expense where it was. If you use a debit card, I'm going to tell you do not ever use a credit card, but if you use a debit card, then some of these expenses are automatically logged in your bank. And so I do that also. I can pull up my bank's statement online and I can see how much, or I see what expenses were paid in the previous day, and I can also see which bills were paid the previous day or whatever, and I can update my budget. Another tip for your budget is you can prioritize the most important expenses, because there are people that have more expenses than they do income, and you want to be sure that you take care of the most important things first, like food. You got to eat, right? You know, if you had to choose between having the electricity turned on or water running in your house, I think you probably want to have enough food. Maybe electricity and water are second, your mortgage comes in third. But be sure you have a way to prioritize, especially if you're on one of those highly variable incomes. Maybe your income is 100% sales if you have your own business, or if you're on a commission. You know, your income may be highly variable. You want to be sure that you take care of the most important things first, and you can do that by putting those at the top of your budget. Check your bank statements on a regular and frequent basis to track your expenses. And you can also see if anything new appears on there. And also make sure your spouse or partner knows you're going to do this and why you're going to do this, because otherwise it may seem like you're stalking what they're spending, or I don't know. You want to be sure that this is a positive thing that you're doing, that you are tracking expenses, you're making sure the money is working for you and your family, and you're not being a secret agent person or private investigator or whatever. Balance your budget statement with your bank statement. Make sure that the two agree. That way your budget is a helpful tool and not just some mystery number out there. And monitor which bills have been paid and which have not been paid. That will help you significantly with your budget. If you guys have any questions about this, go ahead and type them in, or well, I'll give you my email address at the end. It's brad@reallifetrading.com. A couple of tips and tricks that I have learned over the many years I've been doing this. Let's see. I think my wife and I together, well, we got married in May of 2008, so that would be why our budget dates back to 2008. But it's 2015 at the time of this recording, so I have a little over 7 years of budgeting. All right. I think I've said this once or twice before. Create, update, and review the budget together. It is very, very important that you do it all together, or otherwise one spouse or partner feels like they're trying to be controlled by the other with the use of the sledgehammer that we're just calling a budget. Okay, everyone has to agree on the budget. That's a rule. You want to include your retirement payments, any taxes, insurance, and other large savings and expenses to the budget. You know, one habit of rich people is they almost plan more diligently for the large expenses than they do the small ones. So be sure that all of those big things on the budget are there so they come up and surprise you. Use as much cash as possible and get rid of your credit cards. There was a study that came out, I want to say it was around 2009, and they looked at the electrical activity of someone's brain while they were paying for things. And they noticed that people that pay with credit cards, the pleasure center of their brain is activated when they buy something with a credit card. It's like giving someone a reward when they buy something. It feels good. It reinforces that behavior. Hey, let's go buy some more stuff with a credit card. Let's go buy some more. Let's go buy some more. When you use cash, the pain center of the brain is activated. And so when that pain center is activated, it slows down that internal drive to go buy things. So if you can use cash, you will actually subconsciously train your body to save money. If you use credit cards, you are encouraging your body to spend money. If you use cash, you are encouraging yourself to save money. Therefore, use cash as much as possible based on scientific evidence. Adjust your budget for your pay frequency. Some people are only going to get paid when their business makes money. Some people are only going to get paid every 2 weeks. Some people get paid twice a month. Some people get paid once a month. Whatever it is, adjust your budget for each of your pay frequencies. And that'll help you allocate which expenses have to be paid for which paycheck. At some of the jobs that I've had, I got paid every 2 weeks. And there are some instances where it becomes difficult because I have to pay for a mortgage at the end of a pay period, or I have to pay the mortgage right before the next paycheck comes. And then there's sometimes where I actually get an extra paycheck. And so then I got to figure out what I want to do with that, how to do with that. And of course, the budget is the tool to help you understand if you're going to pay for the mortgage at the beginning of the pay period or the end of the pay period, and any other large expenses that may show up to that will force you to become either more diligent, more stringent with how you spend, or allow you to give more, enjoy more, and save more. Give each person on the allowance, or give each person in the partnership an allowance, a slush fund, fund money. This is your anti-control technique, right? I'm not controlling you. Look here, take $300 a month and use this to buy your lunches, go get your hair cut, go to the salon, go to the barber, go get a massage, go buy your athletic shoes, or go see a movie, or buy gifts for people, or whatever. But I highly recommend that each person get a little bit of money to be an adult with. I think a big part of being an adult is being able to make your own decisions about money. But when you got two people in on this partnership, you have to be respectful of each other, but also give each other a certain amount of privacy, a certain amount of leeway. So that's kind of what my wife and I have each done. Out of each paycheck, she gets a certain amount to go do with whatever she wants to. I get a certain amount to go do with whatever I want to. And that's kind of our money that we use for buying gifts for each other, for other people. If we want to go eat sushi, or if we want to eat, if we want to eat out of the refrigerator, whatever it is. Be sure you update the budget frequently. Okay, if you go for a week or 2 weeks or even a month without updating your budget, it is going to be a nightmare to go through and keep track of all of the little expenses. And if you're doing this on paper, or even if you're doing this in Excel, you can miswrite a number, or you can miscalculate a number. If you're doing it in Excel, I've done it. I put the decimal in the wrong place, or I get one of the numbers wrong that I'm typing in, and it becomes a really big mess when I've got 20 or 30 numbers, and I'm trying to go through and figure out which one I put and where I put it and which one I mistyped, if I did mistype it or whatever. So update the budget daily, and if you're half as much of a nerd as I am, you'll actually think it's fun. It feels good. It's rewarding when you update your budget and everything balances out. Now, one thing I talked about earlier, as I said, use cash as much as possible. One trick for controlling your cash expenditures is called the folder system. And basically what you do is you create a little folder or an envelope or a storage place for all of the grocery money, all of the gasoline money, all of the restaurant money, and all of these different types of expenses that you're going to have that are basically variable multiple payments. And so if you know you're going to spend $450 on groceries in a month or in a pay period or whatever, as soon as you get that paycheck, take $450 of cash and stick it in this storage place, whether it's a folder or envelope or whatever. And then every time you go to the grocery store, you take this envelope, and what you'll find is when you get towards the end of the pay period and that envelope is getting lighter and thinner, you'll be much smarter about what kind of groceries you buy. And then you do that 1 or 2 months or 1 or 2 pay periods, and you'll start being very smart and careful about what groceries you buy at the beginning of the pay period. I know when I was first doing this, I was like, Hey, I got 400 bucks here. Filet mignon for everyone. Let's go get some fresh salmon steaks. Yeah, cut that up for me. And then I buy a lot more out of the frozen food section, the freezer section. At any rate, the folder system is a great way. Label one folder for each category. After each paycheck, grab the however much cash you need to fill each folder, and put the amount in each folder. And then when the folder is empty, no more spending. No more spending. If you got any questions, type them in. And wow, that's the end of this part. Okay, so what I said a while ago is I'm going to create a part 2 video where I'm going to go into Excel and attempt to create a budget live on the video. And I will tell you, I have done this a couple of times and I always make mistakes. So it'll be interesting to watch and see how I have to redo the video. At any rate, there will be a part 2. Takeaways from the whole entire financial fundamentals series: make decisions with your partner. With your partner, make them together. Come to an agreement. Compromise, but make the decision together. You will not be successful unless you are prepared. Have a plan, right? That's what the budget is. The budget is your plan for each paycheck. In a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about the plan for retirement. And actually, over the next several for the next several videos each week, we're going to come back and we're going to add things to your budget. We're going to change your budget. So you got to have a budget to start with. Spend less than you earn. A budget is the best, if not the only, tool to help you accomplish that. And then retirement is spending less than your money after inflation. I remembered what I wanted to talk about. One more tool for budgeting, and well, I'll just talk about it. There are some applications out there that you can put on your phone, and every time you spend something, you can pull out your phone and pull out your application, and you can mark it down in your phone app. One Dave Ramsey's pushing right now is called Every Dollar, and the website is everydollar.com, and you can put it on your phone, and then you can every time you spend something, you can log the expense, and it updates your budget. I use my bank's online bill pay and my bank's online just the online statements. Just about every day I go to my bank and I check the statement, and if there's been some new expenses, then I go and I check them, and if there's some expenses that I expected to be there, then I go and I make sure that my budget is tracking accordingly. But you do need to have a budget, whether on paper, on your phone, on an app, but it's got to be a definite plan with specific numbers that everyone agrees with. David Barron says he's used one for a long time. David, this is going to be a little bit tricky since you've used one for a long time. What was the hardest part about your budget? And what was hard about using it or creating it? What was your biggest struggle? And then while you're doing that, I'm going to continue with the summary. Spend less than you earn, and retirement is when you can spend less than your money grows after an inflation factor. And during retirement, you still have to use a budget. I know a lot of people probably have this dream that someday I'm going to have so much money that I don't need to budget and I can just buy whatever I want, whenever I want. That will never be. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, that will never be. It should never be. Even the richest of the rich, they have a budget to control their spending, because you will always be able to outspend your money. David Barron says, initially the toughest part of the budget was keeping it current. But after a few months, it became second nature. Yeah, I agree. That especially if you are worried or you're scared about having enough money, you kind of don't want to open that Pandora's box. You don't want to go to the budget and look at it. And you know what? That's another reason to have a budget that I didn't even say before. If you are worried or scared about having enough money, a lot of times, and in just about anything, the way you put fear aside is by having a plan. You know, if when I was skydiving, we would go through the plane of the skydive over and over and over again, because man, when that door opens and you stick your head out and you've got an 80, 90 per hour wind in your face and there's 13,000 feet to the ground, you get a little bit scared. And then when you consider that, you know, there's 12 or 13 other skydivers that have absolutely no experience jumping out after you, you know, you need a plan. You need to know what to do. The same thing with your money. You got to have a plan. If you're going to go on a trip, you know, just imagine if, hey, let's go to Europe, but not have a plan. I think that would be scary for some people. Let's figure out where we're going to stay. What hotels do we need? So, you know, you got to have a plan, and having a plan is the #1 way to put fear aside. So if you're afraid of your money, be sure you create a budget. David says that now it keeps me targeted and on track. Without it, I'll be lost. David, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Okay, take action, review and update your financial mission. #2, create a first draft of the budget with your spouse or partner. Then track every income and every expenditure. And for the first 3 to 6 months, make changes to your budget if needed with your spouse or partner. After a certain time, and I'm going to say about 6 months down the road, you need to lock your budget. And if your budget is not agreeing with you, you need to change your behavior. Don't change your budget every single month to reflect how you want it to be. You need to change yourself in order to stick to your budget. All right, that's the last thing I'm going to say. There's my email address, brad@reallifetrading.com. Look for video #2. I'm going to go into Excel here and create one live on the video. So for those of you guys here in the webinar, hang on and we'll get that going. And for those of you on the video, check out part 2. I'll put the link in the description box of the YouTube video. So as always, trade on logic, not on hope. And thanks for watching this video. Go to for more videos like this, go to www.reallifetrading.com. Have a good one, everybody.